A growing number of our investors are buying rental properties in Bryan-College Station without ever visiting them in person, and they're more confident in their purchase than those who flew out to walk every single room. I'm Greg Schwartz, and I bought my first ever property completely sight unseen back in 2014. 12 years later, we help investors do the same thing every single week, but now with way better technology. I'm going to show you the exact process we use so that our clients never have to fly out to College Station just to walk a house. And the investors who skip the visit, well, they consistently end up with better returns on their investment, and here's how. The truth is, you can't just pick an investment property on Zillow and expect to have a good deal. You need to know the inner workings of the submarkets, the neighborhood, the streets, even the corners. Some of these will perform well, while others will have houses that sit vacant for months or years. And the best way to understand this, from my experience, still requires you to travel out to your market of choice. I know, I just said that I need you to fly out to the market and visit it in person. And that's because you should visit it at least once. And then I promise, no more plane tickets, no more wasted money, but one trip, one plane ticket, one long weekend to better understand your market of choice is well worth it. Hopefully that's Bryan-College Station. My goal for you is to spend a few days walking and driving your target markets. Understand the neighborhoods, understand the corners, understand what's next door, know what's a few blocks away, understand where houses are being renovated, where shopping centers are going up, where offices are growing. That's the difference between a great investment and something that's gonna flop. As a bonus tip, do this with a local realtor or your property manager or an investor friend who already knows the market. One conversation with the right local can save you from a six-figure mistake. If you want to know how we walk our clients through this process, email me the word cash flow to info@schwartzrealtygroup.com and I'll reach out to you personally. All right, maybe you haven't found a local real estate agent that you trust, or you just want to explore the market on your own. How would you do this? Well, this is how I set up tours for our clients. I start by looking for sold properties in their buy box. Use Zillow. An example would be 1970s to 1990s built duplexes under $300,000. You're probably going to find that the asset you're looking for is concentrated in just a few neighborhoods. That's your target. Your next step, my recommendation, is to drive every street, understand every corner, know where houses are being built, where they're falling apart, know the local shopping centers, know the local areas for employment, understand where areas are growing or decaying, and that's how you have a full grasp of the local market. Now, everything else can be done virtually. Stop. Before you fall in love with a house, make sure you run some back of the napkin math. Once you have your target submarkets, the neighborhoods you're going to focus on, the next step, of course, is to find a property and then run some quick initial analysis. This will keep you from wasting anyone's time to include your own. It doesn't have to be a full pro forma. This is just a quick gut check. You need to know what will rent for. Use Rentometer, Zillow, or Facebook Marketplace to find comps. You need to know what it will cost to buy it and fix it up. Does the math pencil out at a very high level? The good news is we have a great rental property calculator on our website. I'll have a link in the description below. Once you have this analysis, you want to send it to your local resource to verify it. Whether it's your agent, your property manager, or your investor friend, you want to send it to somebody who knows the market. Get a second set of eyes before you go any further. If it passes the smell test, then move on to the next step. If it doesn't, then skip this property. It's not going to be an ideal fit for you. Now it's time for that virtual tour. When I bought my first property back in 2014, the tour was, well, it was shaky, it was blurry. I think it was shot on an iPhone 3. Luckily, that era is over. Today, a proper virtual tour should give you everything an in-person visit would, and sometimes even more. Here's what to expect. First, of course, you want to have a live FaceTime walkthrough, real-time, narrative, no rushing of the property. Then, your agent should have a recorded walkthrough mentioning everything you talked about in that live tour, plus pictures, and all of that gets uploaded to the cloud, Google Drive, or whatever you use. This way, you can watch it as many times as needed before making a decision. As a bonus, your agent should get Cubicasa. This is an app that gives you the ability to make a quick floor plan so you can understand the full layout of the house. Does it make sense? And or if you want to do any renovations, what would be an easy renovation to do to open up that living space? Hard truth, guys, if your agent's not willing to do this for you, maybe it's time to find a new agent. Now it's time to refine your analysis, because the virtual tour is not just about seeing the house, it's about recalibrating everything you thought you knew about the deal. After the tour, you need to ask yourself, is this property better or worse than you expected? Do you need to adjust your renovation budget up or down? Will it rent for more or less than you initially anticipated? Guys, do the comps still hold up? Or do you need to pull new comps, get new rent rates, and new after repair values? This step is where deals get made or sometimes killed. Don't skip it and do not not rush it, because your next step is to make an offer. As they say in The Little Mermaid, sha-la-la-la, don't be shy, go on and kiss the girl. It's time to pucker up and make that offer. Hopefully some of you guys have kids under the age of 5. Don't hesitate, the good deals won't last long. It's time to make that offer, and you should have 2 numbers in mind. One is your starting point and one is your line in the sand. Do not go over it maximum price. Your starting point should be low enough that it gives you room to negotiate, but not so low that it pisses off the seller, which, side note, why is it that sellers get so personally offended when you put in a lowball offer? I just don't get it. Let me know in the comments below. But you should now be at the point where you're putting in offers and negotiating hard to get yourself a great deal. Of course, this is where a great agent comes in handy. Once you make that offer, if it gets accepted, things go fast, so be prepared. Once you're under contract, the next step is inspections. And quite frankly, this is where the bad deals will reveal themselves. And I'm usually most cautious about those houses that look recently renovated. Your baseline for this will be a general and an HVAC inspection. I always recommend those, but depending on the condition of the property, you might want to bring in a trusted roofer to give you an independent assessment. Pest control to let you know if there's termites or other wood damaging insects. Another really good one is like a sewer scope. And I can't stress this enough, particularly with older properties. And of course, if any of those inspectors discover anything, bring in the appropriate contractor, be it a plumber, electrician, foundation company, to give you an assessment. 2 of my own properties need a sewer line repair. After I purchased it, I could have saved thousands of dollars by spending $150 up front, but I was new to the game and didn't know better, so I skipped the inspection and came out of pocket over $5,000. Now, if you're not local, you probably can't attend the inspection, but the good news is your agent should. Your agent should physically attend the inspection and then call you again on FaceTime to give you a live tour of what the inspector has found. I don't want a PDF follow-up. I don't want pictures. I want one-on-one so that you can have a conversation with the inspector and or your agent about what's being seen so that you can walk through the property live. If your agent won't do this, again, time to find a new agent. Now that you have your inspection report in hand, you can go back and update your analysis. Basically, we're going to update our renovation budget to make sure that the estimates that we had initially are in keeping with what we saw in the inspection report. But sometimes something gets brought up in the inspection report that we could not have predicted. Sometimes that means we have to go back to the seller and negotiate. I always recommend negotiating for a credit instead of repairs, because as someone who's buying a house, I want to know who's actually doing the work. I want to make sure it's done correctly for a property I'm going to be putting my hard-earned money into. But the important thing here is, guys, in Texas, this should all happen during your option period, which means you have the unrestricted right to walk away from this property if it doesn't work out. If the math doesn't pencil out, you walk away and get your earnest money back. I'd rather you do that than buy a bad deal. There's one last step, one last walk through the property. In fact, this is your final walk. A few days before closing, you'll have the opportunity to walk the property. Of course, you'll send your agent, who again will do a FaceTime tour for you. This is one last chance to check for anything that changed, anything that was missed, or anything that shouldn't be there. One last check before you wire the money, before you sign the papers, before you own a new rental property in College Station, Texas. And guys, we did all that without having to fly out for this specific property. I just saved you a plane ticket, and that is worth a like and subscribe. Of course, if you want to see how we do this with our clients or you want to work with us, shoot me that email to info@schwartzrealtygroup.com. And if you want to know more about investing in our local town, I suggest this video right here.